Good afternoon, class. Thank you. You can sit down. All right, then what I will do is, first of all, go through the example that we looked at yesterday on drawing lines of best fit. And then I'll ask you to come and do the questions on the board in groups. Okay. We looked at scatter diagrams or scatter graphs and lines and how to draw lines of best fit. And you were told that it's a graph that is plotted using results usually from experiments, and the points don't lie on a straight line. They are usually scattered. You were given an example that was plotted. The first thing from the table of values that is given, if you are not told where the points go, the first set of values that appear on the table of values are the ones that will go on the horizontal axis. And the ones that appear second will go on the vertical axis. So in this case, x will go on the horizontal axis and y, the values for y will go on the vertical axis. So after you, from the table of values, you then plot the points. Okay, so I plotted the points on the graph. And then after that, to draw, you will usually be asked to draw the line of best fit. To draw the line of best fit, there are 3 steps that are required. First, you find the average point. Then you plot the average point on the graph. And then you draw the line of best fit. Okay, you draw the line of best fit, and the line usually passes through the average point. Okay, what I did was I calculated the average point using the values that were on the table, and I plotted it and indicated it on the graph. So the average point is shown. I have also shown you the way to calculate the average point. It's the sum of the numbers that on the table of values divided by the number of the scores, or the number of those numbers. Okay, to draw the line, you put your ruler on the average point and move it around a bit until many of the points are either on or close to the line. Don't just put the ruler and then draw the line. You have to move it around a bit because it's the line that's supposed to go through the middle of the point where all the points are lying. So it's just a line of best fit. Okay, then in this particular example, we had to find the value for M and B because the length of the spring is in the form, or in the equation, the form y equals mx plus b. All right, we use the average point, which is 7.4, 24.4, and the point where the line cuts the vertical axis, which is 0, 8.25. We use the formula to find the gradient, and it happened to be 2.2. That's 24.4 take away 8.25 divided by 7.4 take away 0. We got about 2.2. So the value for M is 2.2. The value for C, which is the point where the graph cuts the vertical axis, was 8.25. The equation, therefore, then is y equals 2.2x plus 8.25. And then we use the equation to find the length of the spring when a mass of 20 kilograms is attached to the spring. And we got it as 52.25 centimeters. Okay, with that, you were asked to do 5 questions, maybe 6. But that's question 1, 2, 3, 4, and actually 5 questions. So in groups, we'll start with group 1. All right, come and show us the graph that you have drawn and answer the questions that follow, please. Group 1? Come. Okay. Group 2.
Um,
Thank you.
Question
Thank
1
you.
reads, in an experiment, the length of a spring was measured when various weights are attached to it. The results were, this is the mass. When the mass was 20 grams, the length was 5.5. Mass was 40, length was 6 centimeters. When the mass was 60, the length was 6.5 centimeters. When the mass was 80 grams, the length was 6.5. When the mass was 100, the length was 7.5. The best fit runs through the line as it follows a pattern. Question A reads, what is the extension per gram? The extension per gram, we got run over rice over run, which is rice is 2.5 centimeter over 100 grams, which equals to 0.025 centimeter per gram. Find B. Question B reads, what is the unstretched length? The unstretched length, find it when the mass is 0, the unstretched is 5 centimeter. We got it using the formula L is equals to 0.025 m plus 5. So when the mass is 0, 0 times 0.25 times 0 is equals to 0 plus 5 is equals to 5. So the unstretched length is 5 centimeters.
Let us see. Question is, what would the length of the spring be with a mass of 50?
So, what does it say?
50 grams.
50 grams.
Mass of 50 grams.
Okay.
So we come up with the equation length equals 0.025 times mass plus 5. The length is unknown, not given. Length equals 0.025 times 50 plus 5 equals 6.25 centimeters. What extension would be produced by a mass of 110 grams? So length equals 0.025 times 110 plus 5 equals 7.75 centimeters.
One on.
Question reads, what mass would produce an extension of 2.2 centimeters? This extension is the extra length added onto the original length, so
Hold the mic close to your,
yeah.
close there.
So the extra length is 2.2 added onto the original length, which is 5, gives a total length of 7.2. And then just substitute into the equation, the mass is 88 grams. The equation is L equals 0.025, which is the gradient, times m plus 5, which is the y-intercept.
Just leave it there first. Leave the graph there first. All right, for this particular question, the average point is on the table of values, which happens to be this point. I think it's 66.5. Is that the average point? 66.5. Okay, and it's already here. For this question, it's actually, the lines, sorry, the points actually form a straight line. So it's quite easy. Now, to answer the questions, because what has happened here is they ask you to find the equation last. It's the last question that is asked here. So what is the extension per gram? If there is anything on rate that they will ask, if you are asked for anything on rate like this question, you are asked to find the extension per gram. You get the answer from the gradient of the line. Okay, so that's what they've done. They calculated the gradient and came up with 0.025 centimeters per gram. That's the extension. Okay, the rest of the questions you can actually find from the graph because their line is, the line that they've drawn is a straight line. And then in the end, you can calculate or find the equation of the line. Okay, group 1 has done very well. Any questions on the answers that they've got on the board? No? Okay. Next group, group 2. Make sure you speak loud. Behind the computer.
The following shows the temperature of a beaker of water measured at 5-second interval. Firstly, we calculated the gradient. So we used the average point, which is the coordinates are 15 and 53. We used 53, we subtracted from 26, and we got 27, which is the rise. We divided it by the run, which is 15, and we got 1.8, which is the gradient. So the equation is T is equal to 1.8 S plus 26. The first question says, what is the rate of temperature increase? So basically we just used the gradient, which is 1.8 S, to find the rate of temperature increase. The second question reads, what is the temperature, when is the temperature 60 degrees Celsius? So we substituted 60, which is equal to T, and then we got 34, which is equal to 1.8 S, and the time taken is 18.9 seconds. Question C reads, what would the temperature be after 50 seconds? So we used S is equal to 50, 1.8 times 50 plus 26. So after 50 seconds, the temperature would be 116 degrees Celsius.
Okay, just using the graph to check the answers out. They say 18.9 seconds here. 60 degrees Celsius is here. And you can actually draw a line from 60 down. It's quite close to 19 degrees, which is the nearest whole number to this. Even for 116 degrees Celsius, we've got, you can't, if you extended the graph up and then extended this and this, you will actually find, because they've drawn it only up to 80 degrees, you will find that it will agree with the answer if you use the graph. So you can also use the graph and not necessarily use the equation if you are not asked to do so. Okay, well done, group 2. Group 3.
Exercise 3 says, the height of a plant was measured over a period of time, and the results are as follows. It's the table shown on the screen. We've drawn the graph to indicate the height and the time. Okay, the first question reads, what was the plant's rate of growth? Okay, the rate of growth is equals to the gradient. So firstly, we found the average point, and then we got the gradient by using rise over run. We got 13 by minusing 14, the y-intercept from 27. So 13 over 10 is equals to 1.3 cm per day. B, it reads, what is its height when it was planted? Just by looking at the graph, at 0, the line cuts the graph at 14, so the height was 14 cm when it was planted. C, it says, write down an equation connecting the height and the time. The general equation, y equals mx plus c, so y is the height,
And X.
height, and
X.
x is t, which is the time. So the final equation was 1.3, which is the gradient, times t plus 14, which is the intercept, y-intercept. Okay, the last question reads, what was the height of the plant after 10 days? We used the equation, and we got 1.3 times 10 plus 14, and it's equals to 27 centimeters.
Right, just one thing, the gradient in this case means that every day the tree grew 1.3 centimeters. When it was planted, okay, that's what Miriam explained, it was 14 centimeters. So for one day, it increased by 1.3 centimeters. So every day it grew that much. All right? Well done, group 3. You're all doing very well. Okay, group 4 for question 4. Oh, quickly. Yeah. How do you want it? Like that or? Okay. You just help, don't worry.
Whenever you have questions, you could answer them later.
Okay.
Question 4 reads, in a road test on a truck, the distance traveled d kilometers, and the number of liters of fuel left in the tank n are read off at intervals. The results are given in the following table. Draw a graph of this data and draw the line of best fit. That's all that. Question A reads, at what rate is the fuel being used? B, how far can the truck travel without refueling? C, write down an equation expressing the relationship between N and D.
New style. This is quite easy. Turn around. Face the camera. Face the camera. There. And you can use the pointer to explain if you have.
To find the rate, we have to, it's just the same as finding the gradient. So we use in the formula of gradient, rise over run.
You people did very well.
The rise is 2 and the run is negative 32.
I'll keep all the answers.
So answer was negative 116, which is, therefore the rate is 16 kilometers per liter. For B, we use the normal formula, which is y equals mx plus c. So we are substituted, so y we made it 0, which is here. We brought in the gradient, negative 1 over 16, and the y-intercept was 12. So to get x on its own, transpose the formula, and x equals 192 kilometers. And to write down the equation to express the relationship between N and D. Okay. The normal formula, as we all know, is y equals mx plus c. So y, which is the vertical axis, which, on this one is n. The gradient remains n. D is the x-axis. So therefore, n equals negative 16d plus 12.
Thank you, Group 4. Okay, what they've done is they've interpreted the rate very well. For every liter, the truck travels 16 kilometers, even though the gradient is negative. Okay, the reason why it's negative is because the amount of liter decreases every time the vehicle travels. Okay, that's why the line is in this direction. Okay, you also have to note at this point, I've never let the students do this on their own. This is the first time I've done it, and I'm so far very proud of you. Okay, question 5, last one, come. Where's number 5? Oh, you don't know which one it is. There. Oh, I just pulled it. Oh, yours, thank you. To take these back to the classrooms and then copy them down, and I think there's someone there. Go and put it on and I'll put this. Okay, there you go.
The question reads, on measuring the circumference C in centimeters of various circles of diameter D in centimeters, the following results were obtained. And we drew the graph with y-axis representing the circumference represented by C and x-axis represented by the diameter, which is D. The question reads, by drawing the graph, find the linear law connecting these two variables, which really means find the equation. Since the line passes through the origin, the equation will be y equals mx. So to find the gradient, we use rise over run, which is 4.6, which is the rise, and run is 1.5. So we substitute that 4.66 divided by 1.5 is 3 and 8 over 75. So we substitute the m value into the equation, which is C is equal to 3 and 8 over 75 D, which is the
Thank you. I hope you all work together as group members to produce this because they are very well done. And I'm very happy with what you have done. You tried your best to also understand what the questions were asking. Okay, the keyword to the pilot teacher is solutions. Can you stand, please? Right, good afternoon, class. Thank you.